I'm gonna sing you some lines from an old song. See if you can guess what this time's festival is. I talk to the trees, but they don't listen to me. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree. Can you guess? Yes, it's trees. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hello there and welcome back to Gigi's Holiday Place. Today we're going to be talking about a holiday that has a rather unusual sounding name, and also you won't find this one in the Bible exactly. In other words, it's not a thou shalt. It's just something we get to do. The holiday is called Tu B Shevat. Tu B Shevat is very similar to something that we have in the United States every year, and it's called Arbor Day. Now, I looked up some information on the website called arborday.org, and it said that in Texas, we have Arbor Day on the first Friday in November. And the motto for the Arbor Day organization says this: we inspire people to plant, nurture, and celebrate trees. So what's your favorite tree? Shh. I'm on a dinosaur hunt. I'm hunting for my favorite dinosaur. You want to know why the Stegosaurus is my favorite dinosaur? I kind of wonder if maybe Johnny Appleseed didn't learn his tricks from little Steggy. According to my friend Dr. Carl Baugh of the Creation Evidences Museum in Glen Rose, Texas, this Johnny Appleseed Stegosaurus didn't have any molars. Those are our big chewing teeth in the back. So he just swallowed the fruit whole. And then these plates along here were sort of like radiators, Dr. Baugh says, and they gave him the ability to heat things up inside his great big body. So when he pooped out the seed, it already had all the compost. The fertilizer was already in it. And as he walked along, that big old tail dug up, tilled the ground around him. God designed an incredible planter of trees. That's why he's my favorite. Now you say, what does a dinosaur have to do with the Tu B Shevat? Well, apple trees are trees, aren't they? And Johnny Appleseed wasn't the only one that planted trees. Hey, I like the trees that have flowers on them. I love magnolia trees, gardenia trees. Such a sweet, sweet smell. What a mess when the blooms start falling off on the ground, but they smell sweet. And even better are the cherry trees, the almond trees, the peach trees. When the buds come, you know it's just going to be a few more months until you're going to have fruit. Well, I have a lemon tree in progress that I want to show you. And my assistant is playing with her busy box while I show you about seeds. Here's what I did. I took a real lemon, cut it, and then I took some seeds like this and I just stuck them down in the dirt. And I put that in my little greenhouse. And I watered it every day, and before you know it, ta-da! Look at that. Yeah, that's a tree. That's a lemon tree. This is my neighbor's lemon tree. He's got it in a big old pot. Can you see the lemons? Can you see them in there? There's one, and there's one way down there. So in Israel, the festival of Tu B Shevat happens every year on the 15th day of the month of Shevat. You hear? Tu B Shevat. Okay? My friends and I celebrated with HaYovel organization in Israel, and we celebrated on the 27th of January. HaYovel is an organization that brings volunteers to Israel to help prune the vines, plant trees, pick grapes. Oh, I would love to do that. I would love to go and help them sometime. So where did this start? Well, a long time ago, when the children of Israel were very, very naughty, God allowed them to be carried off into captivity. In other words, somebody else's country came and picked them up and took them off. Maybe you've heard the story of Daniel in the lion's den, or the 3 Hebrew children in the fiery furnace. They were all in captivity in Babylon. While Israel was off in somebody else's country, the land of Israel wasn't taken care of, and it turned into a desert, just sand. But listen to this. In the book of Ezekiel in our Bible, chapter 36, and starting with verse 33, this is what the sovereign Lord says. When I cleanse you from your sins, I will repopulate your cities, and the ruins will be rebuilt. The fields that used to lie empty and desolate in plain view of everyone will again be farmed. And when I bring you back, people will say, this former wasteland is now like the Garden of Eden. I went to Israel the first time when I was living in the country of United Arab Emirates. We came from the UAE to Jordan, and then we took a bus to the border between Jordan and Israel, and the Israeli tour guide came and got us. And when we were driving through the desert, oh, you looked out the window and it was just all sand, all nothing. And then we turned and headed into the Galilee, and it was like a miracle. Trees and vegetables and flowers and grass. I will never forget that. And when I read this verse in Ezekiel, that's what I remember. There's another verse, I believe it's in the book of Isaiah, that says the desert will bloom like a rose, and that's all I could think of while we were riding in that bus through the beautiful, lush greenery. So, to celebrate Tu B Shevat, my friends in Israel had a Seder. That's a special meal, and my friends here in Texas and I were able to join them. We had the laptop set up across from our table. We had our meal, and then when they came online, we started the Seder. So we followed along with them because they were using the same program. And in a lot of places, the leader would read something, and then some of the people, the participants around the table, would read something else. But there were 2 main blessings. One for the wine or grape juice, and one for the first time we tasted the fruit. And this blessing is called the, you ready? Shehehianu. And it's for the first time you do anything. Hey, the first time you make 100 on your math test. The first time you visit the Grand Canyon. The first time you ever have a hot fudge sundae. The first peach you eat every year, they say this blessing. Okay, now I'm going to write the letters up above me so that you can follow along. But the one for the wine or the juice is the same one we said in Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth the fruit of the vine. And the Shehekianu goes like this. I don't have this one memorized, so I have to read it, okay? It goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. Shehekianu vikimanu, which means for giving us life and sustaining us. Vihigianu lazman hazeh, which means and enabling us to reach this occasion. So we said that blessing together. I set the table with pretty plates and bowls, and we began the Seder. Everything we ate or drank in our Seder came from a tree or a vine. The first thing we tasted in the Seder was food that had a hard outer shell. Okay, think about a walnut, or an almond, or even an orange. I don't know anybody that eats an orange peel. Do you? Okay. And then we had a drink. The drink was a small glass of white wine or white grape juice. And this symbolizes the winter season, when There's no green on the trees. There's no flowers anywhere. Everything is pretty much frozen, looking a little bit dead. Oh, but that seed we plant in the ground is not dead. It's very much alive, and it's growing on the inside, even though we can't see it. Next, we had fruit that had a hard pit inside. A peach, an apricot. We had dates, because I love dates. All those years I lived in the Middle East and in Africa, couldn't wait for date season to begin. And then we had a drink. Again, this was a small glass of white wine or juice, and it had a few drops of red in it. This symbolizes spring, when signs of new life begin to appear on the trees. In Israel, they say that the Tu B Shevat occurs when the almond tree just starts bursting forth with all of its blossoms. Third, we had fruit that was completely edible. Grapes, blueberries, everything about it you could eat. I don't know about you, I'm not crazy about grape seeds, but I have been known to eat them when there's no way to spit them out. And then we had a drink, and it had equal parts of red and white, wine or grape juice. This symbolizes summer, when you can see the transformation of everything around us. And then last, we passed around a plate, and this plate had wonderful things to smell. It had cinnamon and basil and rosemary and cloves. We were just smelling. And our drink was only red wine or grape juice, but it had a few drops of white. Paints a visual picture for us that when Yeshua has returned and we're all living together in fellowship and peace with him, we'll be complete. When the whole world will know God. Wow, isn't that a great thing to remember, to think about? It's all about remembering. Now, when I was a kid, I had to learn 2 + 2 and 2 × 2 and 9 × 9 and all of that, remembering. But this is remembering the goodness of God. It's all about remembering with the food and the drinks and the blessings and the prayers. It helps us to remember that God is blessing us and has plans for us. One of my very, very, very favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 29:11, where God says, hey, I know the plans I have for you. They're plans for a future and a hope. I have plans to prosper you and never, never harm you. What helps you to remember? Now, maybe you don't remember those 2 old songs that I started with, and I'm not going to sing them again. But I am going to tell you a few more lines from the poem Trees by Joyce Kilmer. Do you know it was written in 1913? Can you do the math? That's over 100 years ago. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray. A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair. Poems are made by you and me, but only God can make a tree. Happy Tu B Shevat. And I want to tell you, I cannot wait for next year. The Seder, and who knows, maybe I might have a lemon on my lemon tree by then. I hope you've enjoyed this week's holiday information on Gigi's Holiday Place. And we will see you next time for one of my most favorite holidays. Oh, you're going to love this one. Be blessed. Bye.